All right. I think we're missing just the Mayor Pro Tem, but we have our full panel ready to go, sir.
All right. And Terry, now we have you on camera too. There you go. And we have Melissa, our fearless sign language interpreter. I thought I had her stumped the other day because I had her say anti-disestablishmentarianism. And look at it. See that? You cannot stump her. All right, let's see here. Okay, we got a bunch of people. Here we go. I see the mayor. I see the chief. I see the captain. And okay, there we go. All right, shall we start there, Hudson?
Yes, sir. Well, again, good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We will be taking questions during our Q&A session after introductions and pre-submitted questions have been finished. If you have access to a microphone and a question, please indicate you would like to speak by selecting the hand icon in the bottom right panel of the screen. If you do not have access to a microphone-enabled device, you may type your question in the Q&A comment section. I will be happy to read it on your behalf. As a reminder to everyone, only questions and concerns related to Crescenta Valley and the respective areas will be addressed today. Any questions or comments intended to be disruptive, antagonistic, argumentative, or disrespectful will be muted, and we'll move on to the next person. Captain Deeds, would you like to begin?
Yes. Good afternoon. I am Todd Deeds, your captain at Crescenta Valley Station. On behalf of the many proud men and women serving La Cañada Flintridge, La Crescenta, Montrose, and Cagle Canyon, we would like to welcome you to the Crescenta Valley Station Community Conversation Meeting. I would like to recognize and thank Mayor Michael Davitt and the entire La Cañada Flintridge City Council, Crescenta Valley Town Council President Harry Leone, and the entire Crescenta Valley Town Council, and also the Cagle Canyon Civic Association. I want to truly thank everyone for their leadership and partnership with us in serving the community. At this time, I am pleased to welcome and introduce our Sheriff of Los Angeles County, Alex Villanueva.
Thank you, Captain Deeds, and I want to thank all of the Crescenta Valley Station, the communities, all the communities served by the station, the Mayor of La Crescenta we have here on board with us, and the members of the City Council, the City Manager. And this conversation is designed to have that healthy dialogue between the community, between law enforcement and the representative city government, the city of leadership. And we get to ask the hard questions, answer the hard questions, and in the process, we get to learn a little bit about each other and see different perspectives. And along the way, as I said before, we're going to give the captain a to-do list, and it's going to keep growing as the meet progresses. He has his paper and his pen ready. He's good to go. See, he's got it right there. There he is. And let me see. And do we have Myron Johnson joining us, Chief?
Sorry, I lost my mic. I'm not sure that Chief Johnson is available.
Okay. And then I'd like to turn it over now, if I could, for the mayor for a few words before we get started.
Sorry, thanks, Sheriff. Appreciate it. I'm Michael Davitt, the mayor of La Cañada Flintridge, and on behalf of our city council, which I think everyone is on, and our mayor pro tem, John Curtis, and our city manager, Mark Alexander, want to thank you for visiting with us this afternoon. These are, as you had mentioned, these are great dialogues to have. We're very appreciative for all the work that the Sheriff's Department has done in our community, in La Cañada Flintridge and in the Crescenta Valley, and want to express our appreciation for that. And by you offering to spend some time with us and fielding some questions, it's a great opportunity for our community and our business owners to engage in some good conversations about some of the successes that the Sheriff's Department has and where there can be some improvements that can really help and benefit our community. So again, I want to just say thank you and appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And from here, I guess we can, any other of our elected leaders would like to say a few words before we start, and we can work our way through the questions? All right. This is a rare moment in history when an elected person shies away from commenting. But that's good. It's a good group of people, and the city has done well by having such good quality elected leadership here in the city and the surrounding community. So let's take it away, Mr. Hudson.
All right, sir. Our first question: as a longtime resident of La Cañada, we were encouraged to see that burglaries in the community were significantly down after the flock cameras that Captain Deeds put in place. We feel safer and we appreciate it. Are there any plans to install more in the future? And what are some of the concerns which keep you awake at night?
Sheriff, if it's okay, I can go ahead and answer this.
Yeah, how about you? And I think the mayor too may want to chime in on this.
So as far as the flock cameras, I can't take the credit for the flock cameras. It was the La Cañada Flintridge City Council that unanimously voted to implement the flock cameras. They have been a great asset to us here at the station as far as crime prevention and being able to solve crimes. Yeah, just a tremendous help. I believe the city is going to look at possibly expanding the program in the near future. So I believe that's going to be discussed in future city council meetings. As far as what are some of the concerns that keep me awake at night, I pay very close attention to the crime statistics, not only for my station area, but also the county. And as the sheriff, you mentioned earlier during our pre-meeting, violent crime throughout LA County has skyrocketed, and that causes me great concern. Our area has not been impacted by much violent crime, but it does make keep me awake at night. As far as what citizens can do, what are some of the things that the citizens can do for public safety in the community? Our block watch programs in the city of La Cañada Flintridge are thriving. We have about 40 block watch groups, and they've been very effective. And so we want to continue building on the block watch program and encourage residents to either join a current block watch program or consider starting one of their own. So, and that also applies to the La Crescenta and Montrose area as well, and not to forget Cagle Canyon.
Our next question.
Wait. Mr. Mayor, did you want to add on about the cameras?
Sure. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, we have been extremely pleased with the success rates of the cameras, and also that they're so in sync with the Sheriff's Department. So once there's information that the camera picks up, it immediately goes to the station. And we've been able to be much more efficient in that. And I think I can, not unanimously for the council, but I would think that my hope is that come our budget time, we're going to try to get some more cameras installed, and that'll be a priority. I know for the council and for myself for sure. So appreciate how that's all working together, and I think it's a big improvement in just in our city, but also in the community as well.
All right.
Okay. Our next question. Thanks for taking questions. I live in La Cañada on Angeles Crest Highway. The local station has stepped up weekend patrol. However, people still see ACH as a destination to drive in excess of the speed limit with very loud, illegally modified engines. This happens day and night, with most of it on the weekends. While ACH is one of the most popular roads for this, loud speeding cars endanger many LA County residents. What is being done to combat this culture?
I can go ahead and answer that as well. Our city council has graciously allowed me to hire additional personnel on the weekends for Angeles Crest. We've been doing it ever since the beginning of the year. It's been very effective. Our deputies are very proactive, really targeting those that are speeding on Angeles Crest. Our deputies have written a lot of tickets and done a lot of really good enforcement and gotten people to slow down. We are going to continue our efforts on Angeles Crest into the foreseeable future. We also are in the process of getting more of our personnel radar trained. We have 2 deputies currently in the 40-hour radar training class as we speak. And so, again, that's going to pay dividends as well. So we're going to keep up our efforts on Angeles Crest. And again, with the help of the city leaders and the La Cañada Flintridge City Council, again, it's nice having the resources that we can pour into that issue and help solve problems.
Our next question. We live near Briartree Drive in La Cañada. The revving noises from cars and motorcycles are almost unbearable, especially on weekends and holidays. Instead of increasing patrolling manpower, wouldn't it be cheaper to have speed cameras and acoustic cameras installed at a few locations, such as the corners of Briartree Drive, Baytree Road, and Crosstown Trail?
Unfortunately, speed cameras are not legal in California, nor are acoustic cameras as well. So that those cannot be considered. We have our Traffic Safety Commission with the City of La Cañada Flintridge that is always looking at ideas and ways to get people to slow down. We work very closely with them. And again, at this point, we're just going to really continue to beef up our patrols on Angeles Crest. I think that's the most effective way that we know of at this point in time.
Our next question, is the Sheriff's Department reducing or changing the gang unit? This gang unit was instrumental in solving burglary crimes in our area and other steps of LA County.
I can tell you that we have no plans on reducing our Operation Safe Streets or our Major Crimes Bureau, which actually does more of the burglary investigation or the series of these burglary investigations. And however, we have Measure J, which is now how the county is going to interpret Measure J and apply it in the next fiscal year, which starts on July 1st, is a big unknown. So we're waiting to see. We've cut everything we can from the department. The only thing that's left to cut is start withdrawing our detectives' assets and shrinking the size of our patrol operations, closing jails, for example. Not any choice is going to make the community any safer. So this is going to be all in the hands of the Board of Supervisors at this point.
A follow-up question, what steps and measures will the Sheriff's Department take to ensure that adequate resources are devoted to investigate and solve similar crimes?
Well, we've taken all the steps we can now. We were defunded by a tune of $145 million in the current fiscal year. And that is on top of already being the most understaffed law enforcement agency in the nation. So we're this is where the rubber meets the road. There's no plan B when we start reducing our services, because there's no magical organization that's going to appear out of nowhere and start providing the services that we withdraw. So this is, again, it's going to be a political decision, and we hope the Board of Supervisors takes public safety seriously and makes it a priority in their budgeting, but we'll find out soon enough.
Next question. Will the disbanding, reimagining of the district attorney's hardcore gang unit negatively impact investigation of gang crimes at the sheriff's department?
Will not impact the investigation of gang crimes. What's going to impact is the prosecution of gang crimes. And that is a concern because that unit right now has over 700 cases on their docket. And these are the most experienced prosecutors that the LA County has. They're the best at what they do. And they mirror our investigators on our side of the house that do the investigations and submit them for the DA for prosecution purposes. So any effort to dismantle or somehow or shrink the capacity of the district attorney's office in investigating these very sophisticated criminal enterprises that are gangs is going to become at the expense of public safety in LA County. I can say that unequivocally.
Next question is, national news is reporting more carjacking and car theft crimes. What is the trend in LA County? What measures can we take as citizens to reduce this risk?
Well, for LA County, I can say that the carjacking we actually have a 21% reduction in robberies. This comparing this time, the first 3 months of this year to the first 3 months of last year. So in that regard, we're going against the trend. However, in terms of grand theft auto, yeah, that trend is also present here in Los Angeles County. We've had an increase of 67.35% increase in the first 3 months of this year. That is a very big swing. And we're talking, that's a difference in, wow, going from 2,500 to over 4,200 in the span of just 1 year. That is a major swing. So what can you do to reduce the risk? One is lock your car, get an alarm, get a club, park it in a well-lit area by your house where you can see it. Out of sight, out of mind means the crooks are going to figure out your car is out of sight, out of mind as well. And it's easier to steal it because no one's going to notice when you're tampering with it. So make sure you park it in a secure location. You have visibility on your vehicle at all times. Don't leave valuables in your vehicle. Leave the laptops, the purses, the wallets, the iPads, the cell phones, all those valuables, leave them in the house. Do not leave them in the car, and leave your car secured at all times. These are things you can do. The alarms and the clubs are not foolproof, but they do slow down. They slow down the burglar, makes them think twice, or the car thief. Same thing with catalytic converters. You want to go through, we have a program where we're etching, identifying information on catalytic converters. And that way, in case your catalytic converter gets stolen, we do recover them. Quite often, we get to match them up with the victim when we have this identifying symbols. And a lot of the patrol stations have a program now where they etch them on the weekends. And yeah, the deputies crawl under the vehicle and put that information there, and it's pretty useful. You want to add anything to that, Captain Deeds?
No, sir. I think you covered it all. It was very good.
Next question, are other areas serviced by LASD considering the flock cameras? And what exactly are flock cameras?
I can answer that, Sheriff. I know that some of the stations, such as Temple Station, already has the flock cameras. I believe I know Industry is they either have them or they're about to get them. San Dimas is in the same boat. And I believe Walnut has the cameras right now as well, Walnut Station. The flock cameras are license plate reading cameras. They basically take a photo of the vehicle and the license plate, while they simultaneously the license plate is run through a computer network. And if there is a high bail warrant, or if the vehicle is a stolen vehicle, our station personnel will be alerted to that.
Wow, Chief, that's an embarrassment of riches. They're all in the East Patrol Division.
Yes, sir. I believe it was about 1.5 years ago, if City Council would correct me, that the flock system came out to East Patrol Division, to multiple cities, and discussed their product with each of the cities. So that's how we became involved.
Very nice.
Our next question, are there other methods being considered to help complement the work done by our deputies, such as digital-based, computer-based, or other, to help identify problem spots as they occur, or to notify the Sheriff's Department?
Here at the station, we have a crime analyst. At every station, there's a crime analyst, and they work very closely with our deputies as far as crime trends in the particular areas that we're responsible for. We also have crime mapping that's utilized, which will show clusters of crimes in certain areas. We also use pin maps to pinpoint where certain crimes are taking place. So yes, there are other ways that we utilize our crime analysts and how we analyze where crimes are occurring most frequently.
Our next question, can you share any trends in crimes that we as citizens should be aware? What steps should we take to possibly reduce the risk? Thank you to the Sheriff's deputies, Captain Deeds, and Sheriff Villanueva. I appreciate you listening to our concerns.
Well, one of the trends that is very visible most recently is the physical assault on our Asian Pacific Islander population. And that is worrisome because we're seeing it played on our TV every evening. It's like, who's the next person that got assaulted? And so that is something of concern. And our homicide rate that's up 152% is a huge concern. And I think we already talked about the other ones that are property crimes. So increasing violence is a trend and it's troublesome. One that's race-based is troublesome always. And we need to be coming together as a community to figure out find ways to bring this down. And particularly vulnerable members of the Asian Pacific Islander community, we want to definitely rally behind them, support them in everything they do, and just be mindful of them. If they're your neighbors, always check on them, see how they're doing. If you're out and about in the community, you see someone being accosted, step in, intervene, call 911. Let them know that they're not alone. And unfortunately, you saw what happened in New York City when that poor lady was viciously attacked and kicked in the face. And you had 3 beefy security guards. They just kind of looked and then they closed the door. And it was such indifference that was kind of shocking. And we can't have that here. That might go on in New York City, but we should not permit that here in our communities. And we'll work together.
All right, our next question. I saw a posting on Ring Neighborhood that someone who was out for a walk on Chevy Chase last Friday afternoon was followed by someone in a car and on foot acting as if they were a threat until they finally were able to reach others for help. How common is this? Have you received any other reports like this in the La Cañada area in the past few months? And should I be worried about taking neighborhood walks? I would not have known about this threat without Ring. It would be nice if we could get warnings about things like this on Nixle.
That was the first time I'd heard of this incident. I don't believe anybody called the station to report it, but no, this is not common in La Cañada Flintridge. And I truly believe the city is extremely safe, and you should continue to walk your dog and be outside. This is again, we have not received any similar reports as what you've indicated.
I will tell you this, now would be probably a good time to discuss some things about personal security that would go a long way. And one is you have to be aware of your surroundings. Don't be so engrossed with your cell phone walking or doing something that you lose contact or touch with what's happening around you. You could have somebody following you. You need to be aware of this. Cross the street. Stay in well-lit areas. Don't venture alone at night in places that are desolate. If you have you're cycling or you're hiking, running, whatever, make sure you use a buddy system and be aware of your surroundings and make sure other people know where you're going to be and when you're due to return on one of these trips. Same thing if you're going to get cash out of an ATM machine, for example, do it during the daytime in well-lit areas and never approach one of these machines when there's someone just loitering around. There's no legitimate reason to loiter around an ATM except to wait for someone who is just not smart enough to realize that they're going to be robbed. So you got to be aware of what's going to happen at the ATM. Same thing with a gas station. If you're running out of gas, don't get gas at midnight in a place you don't know or unfamiliar with. Do that during the daytime. All right. And these are simple things. Same thing with your home. Dogs, alarms work great. Locking the doors, locking the windows works really great. Make sure you do that. Don't advertise your business to people outside of your home. So in other words, if you're going to go on that fancy vacation to Europe, don't brag about it on social media. You're going to be gone for 3 weeks because someone during that time is going to move you out of all your worldly possessions. You got to be smart about that. Let your neighbors know when you're away from the home. That way, no one else should be pulled up and into your driveway, going through your house. Keep the front hedges trimmed down where we can see your front door from the street. So that way deputies driving by can see and people can see you're not giving cover to someone who's trying to break into your home. And these are some of the basic things you can do to improve your physical security, your home security. You can all ask for patrol checks. Call the station, say, hey, I'm going to be away from this day to this day. Can you do patrol checks? And what the sergeant will do in every briefing, every shift, he'll call out the patrol checks and the deputies will write the information down and they'll go by your house and they'll log it on their computer that they did a patrol check at this point in time. Okay. And that's a good thing. You can also don't let the mail pile up. Make sure your mail is kept at the post office or have a neighbor pick up your mail. So don't advertise that you're not home or don't advertise a vulnerability.
If I could add something, Sheriff, this is a good time to mention that although the platforms like Ring and Nextdoor are very helpful and a great way to communicate with your neighbors, when there is a crime or something suspicious, you need to contact Crescenta Valley Sheriff Station immediately and then go to posting it on the social media sites to let your neighbors know. A lot of times people believe that we monitor those platforms and we're aware when these things happen. And we don't have the personnel or the ability to be on those platforms 24/7 to get that information. So please make sure you call the sheriff station first and then post those things that you'd like to share with your neighbors.
Very good point.
All right, our next question. Sir, can you share with us the consequences to our community of the new directives coming from DA Gascon's office?
Okay, well, I can tell you that the consequences are not good because what the district attorney has done with his reform efforts is that he's listening to a very, very narrow segment of the community that is comprised primarily of criminal offenders and their support system. And they're not listening, he's not listening to your average, honest, law-abiding citizen, your taxpayer, your homeowner, your upstanding members of the community that actually are for law and order. And all these reform efforts that he's engaged in are ones that are removing consequences to committing crime. And the more consequences you reduce, that means it's more beneficial for the person engaged in criminal activity to continue engaged in committing crime because they face less threats from being held accountable, from being arrested, being prosecuted. For example, this is the same of misdemeanor crimes as it is for felonies. Removing gun enhancements means that every person who's already willing to commit a felony can now do so armed and faces no greater consequences. That is very bad. Removing gang enhancement means that your criminal enterprises that are gangs are now free to operate with no greater consequences for doing their crimes in furtherance of their gang. And same thing with multiple victims, same thing with not treating juveniles that are 16 or 17 for a crime that an adult would be charged for a crime, for example, murder. Imagine a 17-year-old, 10-month juvenile committing a sophisticated murder, multiple victims, concealing the crime, and then the DA refuses to charge as an adult, refuses to charge for multiple victims, and this person who is a multiple homicide suspect will be released by the age of 25 in the prime of his career as a criminal. that is a threat to public safety. There's no other way I can sugarcoat it. It's not my business typically to talk about other elected officials in that regard, but when it's a direct threat to public safety and the hard work of the men and women of law enforcement to have to stick their neck out in all these difficult situations and places to get the bad guys off the street and have somebody undo it in the courts, that is something I can't tolerate.
A follow-up question, do you or does law enforcement in general support the ongoing recall efforts?
Well, I will say that I support the recall, and that's about as far as I can go on it, because my position is not to engage in the politics of that. That is up to people to do that. However, I do support it. Law enforcement in general, I cannot conceive of law enforcement supporting the current DA and what he's doing. Can we support reform measures? Yes. If they're responsible reform and all the stakeholders are involved, there's definitely an argument to be made for increasing our capacity to treat people with mental illnesses that engage in crime. Yes, that is a good conversation to have, and how can we do that effectively? Same thing with those that have substance abuse disorders and are also involved in crime. How can we treat them while safeguarding the public at the same time? We have to do both things. And that is definitely a conversation we can all have. All stakeholders come to the table, enlist the help of the legislature if we need to alter the different state laws to accomplish this, by all means. But a one-man band doing it on himself because he thinks he has the authority, that's not reform. That is, like I said before, it looks more and more like a suicide pact.
All right, our last pre-submitted question. Sheriff, would you please comment on the value of having the city of La Cañada, Flintridge, voting no confidence for the existing LA County District Attorney?
Well, I think every single city that speaks their mind in a democratic process representing the interests of their city is always of value. And all we can hope for is that the people in charge are paying attention. And I encourage other cities to do the same thing. Let your voices be heard, because that's what a democracy is for, by all means. And that is a lawful exercise of our democratic processes.
Okay, actually, we do have 2 additional questions that were submitted. Next question. First off, I want to say thank you to our sheriffs for all the great work they do, especially in a trying time, knowing that we back you. What can we do as residents to help support the sheriff more, and how can we help you help us?
Wow. I think one of the things you're doing right now is actually, I'm looking at it because you're supporting a city leadership that is listening to the residents. They're actively engaged with a partnership with the sheriff's department, and they're working constantly together to solve problems and find ways to engage with the community, and increasing neighborhood watches, for example, making them more effective, more efficient, volunteers on patrol, all the different programs. I think Captain Deeds, you could probably mention some more local flavor stuff on this.
Yeah, we again, we do have a tremendous amount of community support. Yeah, our volunteer patrol program it's a great program. We have a lot of volunteers with our search and rescue program. We just we engage a lot with the community, and yeah, like I said earlier, the block watch program is huge. It's absolutely huge. It's helped out in so many ways. So if you're looking to help or get involved, I think that would be a great start. If you're a community member and you live in La Cañada, Flintridge, or if you live in Montrose or La Crescenta or Cable Canyon, that's a good place to start. We have a community relations deputy who works for the city of La Cañada, Flintridge. She's also the school resource deputy. She can help you with that. So if you call the station, you can ask for me, and I'll put you in contact with the right person.
All right, very good.
Our next question, with the calls this past year to defund the police and the social justice push, I can imagine that morale would be low within our sheriff's department. What is the best way for us to show our support and appreciation to your men and women?
Well, one thing you can do is when you see a deputy out there on the street, just tell them thank you. Simple as that. A simple thank you lets them know, okay, we're doing the right thing, and lets them know that you support the sheriff's department and everything we do, and that goes a long way. In terms of morale, the best thing, well, that was a challenge I had when I took this job back in December of 18, because morale was at a rock bottom. And my job is to care. I have to care about the community's safety, and I also have to care about the welfare of the people providing that safety. And that is a delicate balance between accountability and support. But once your troops know that you care about their welfare and their concerns, then all of a sudden everything else, it gets a lot easier, because we're all in this together. And I care about them. They care about the community. It works that way, and it's a very effective system we have, because we're all supporting each other. We're all in this together. I want to make sure that every deputy feels a part of the community, and the community is a part of the sheriff's department, because ultimately every single resident is a stakeholder and a shareholder of the sheriff's department. We recruit locally now only, and we hire locally. And so we have, and I'm pretty sure, Captain Deeds, we have members of the community that are now deputies at the station.
Yes, sir.
There you go. See that? That's the full package right there now, when we've definitely know that the community is represented within the department. And that is the best way to show support and appreciation. And we appreciate everything the residents do to keep your community safe. And really, it's everyone coming together, and if there's a problem, let's address it, let's fix it, and let's move on. And it's easy, that all that false rhetoric about defunding police, and somehow all cops are bad, or you've heard it all. But the people that are doing all the yelling and all the shouting, they're a minority. They're not the majority of residents in any community, and that includes all the communities across LA County, not just La Cañada in particular. It's the residents are the ones that live day in and day out, and they're the ones that appreciate what the sheriff, the deputies are doing out there. So you guys thanking them is great. And I tell the deputies, the county thanks them twice a month, on the 15th and the 30th. So it works out good.
All right. Our last pre-submitted question. Given that the California Attorney General has opened a civil rights investigation into the LA Sheriff's Department and stated there are serious concerns and reports that accountability and adherence to legitimate policing practices have lapsed at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, why should members of the community trust the Sheriff's Department, especially given that past leaders of the department have been convicted of lying to federal investigators?
Good question, and proof that we don't screen out questions. We'll take every legitimate question at face value. And I can tell you this: the decision by the California Attorney General to open that civil rights investigation is called a pattern and practice investigation. It's not a criminal one; it's a civil one, and that was a political decision. It was driven by the Board of Supervisors, the ACLU of Southern California, Black Lives Matter. They lobbied the Attorney General relentlessly to get this pattern in practice. However, the facts on the ground remain what they are. We're more than happy to participate and assist in this investigation, and we're giving everything to the Attorney General. We're only going to demand one thing from the Attorney General: for every single accusation lobbied by these people, they were politically motivated. They're going to have to prove them. If they cannot prove them, they're going to have to admit that there was no basis for the accusation. That is my expectation of the Attorney General's office. And I expressed my concern to the staff of the Attorney General, because the Attorney General himself failed to inform me himself, which he should have. That is kind of an expectation. So I was disappointed in that. That was his last official act in office before he left to Washington. So, but it's nor here nor there. We're not going to cry over spilled milk. We'll participate, and we expect that the results are based on facts and not on spurious allegations. They're definitely politically driven. And that is, I could say that the people that were egging on the Attorney General to do this, if they spent a fraction of that energy towards curbing violence, towards bringing down the homeless crisis that we have in our hands, the world would be a far better place. but apparently their passions are not towards addressing their own responsibilities, but focusing on the department. But we're more than happy to address this, and we look forward to the process. Now, why should members of the community trust the Sheriff's Department? Well, it's really simple. The Sheriff's Department of 2021 is not the Sheriff's Department of 2014 when McDonald took over. It's not the Sheriff's Department of 1998 when Baca took over, or 1992 during the Rodney King riots. It's a whole different world. There's a whole new leadership in the Sheriff's Department. And I cleaned house when I took over, and we're reforming the organization top to bottom. And by virtue of the fact that Captain Deeds is there as a captain of La Crescenta is a prime example of that, part of those reform efforts, that we're incorporating input from the community to make the important decisions. So our leadership is a reflection of the community. And the people that were convicted of lying to federal investigators, well, they were held accountable, as they should. And I'm not going to tolerate anyone in this organization who lies to our investigators. I've terminated 89 people already. And it's not an easy thing to do, because we always hope for the best. And unfortunately, people fail to uphold the high standards of the organization. But my job is to keep those high standards. And by virtue of the fact that people want this job and they apply, and the lines wrap around the building over Monterey Park when we open up for testing, shows us that we're on the right path. But we have some big challenges. And for everyone that wants to throw a brick, instead of throwing it, I just urge them to try build something with it instead. And we'd be better off for that. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, we'll now be moving into our open Q&A session. As a reminder, if you have a question and access to a microphone-enabled device, indicate you'd like to speak by selecting that hand icon. If you don't have access, you can type your question in the QA comment section. I'll be happy to read it for you. I don't have any indication for, sorry, Mayor, do you have a question?
Mayor Pro Tem, and I'm sorry, I just don't see the hand button. I just wanted to repeat again how appreciative the city of La Cañada and me personally and my family is, not only for you, Sheriff, but also for Captain Deeds. Captain Deeds is doing a wonderful job for our community, and I neglected to mention that before. So thank you, Captain Deeds, for everything that you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, one quick question, or maybe it's two, is what are the current, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to do it. What are the current thoughts with respect to body cameras, and then mental health professionals, potentially assisting law enforcement?
I can tell you both questions, very good ones. The body worn camera program is up and running. It's very successful. And I want to say here, Crescenta Valley, you folks already have body worn cameras. You had them since January. Right now we're into Carson and Cerritos, and by July, August, we should have the entire department outfitted with the body worn cameras. It's a big department. It takes a while to get everybody through the training. And it is working. It holds us accountable. It also, overwhelming majority of the time, this shows that what the deputy said is exactly what happened. So it brings complaints down. People tend to behave better when they see the camera on the deputy's chest. And so it does bring out the best behavior on both sides of the camera. So it works very well. And the second question was on, what was the second one on again?
Your thoughts on mental health professionals.
Oh, yeah.
Should they be part of the sheriffs, or do you call them, or what's your feeling on that? Obviously, you're law enforcement, not mental health professionals.
Very
So
true.
how does that work? And do you want to bring them into the department, not bring them into the department, or do we have adequate resources actually right now?
Well, we have a co-response model called the mental evaluation teams, where we pair up a clinician with a deputy, not in uniform, not in a radio car, very non-threatening, unassuming. And the deputies in the field, when they encounter a situation that would benefit from having a mental evaluation team, they call them and they assess the situation. They have all the contacts and with all the different psychiatric facilities, and they're very good at what they do. We just don't have enough of these teams. We currently have, I believe, 33 on the budget, but we need at least 60 to be able to be throughout the county and as often as they're used. So no, we firmly believe it's a very solid model. I know some people want to experiment with not having law enforcement involved at all. Unfortunately, there's that overlap where some of these calls for service involving the mentally ill can be very, very dangerous, and people end up getting killed or seriously injured because the counselors, the clinicians, people underestimate the nature of the threat. And we've had in our juvenile facility just last year, we had a counselor beaten to death by several detainees, six juvenile detainees. And recently we've had in the field, we've had a behavioral specialist also assaulted by the person they're supposed to be providing care for. So it's not a foolproof process where people think that, oh, we'll just make sure the deputies will stay away and then these people will take care of the problem. It doesn't always work out that way. But the mental evaluation team is the best of both worlds working together.
And Sheriff, if I can just add to that, we have a mental evaluation, a Met team Deputy Ortiz, working out of Crescenta Valley Station. This is where he reports to work every day, along with a clinician. And so they also service some of the stations in the San Gabriel Valley and East Patrol Division, but they show up to work here every day. Having them here as a resource, it's been absolutely huge.
That's great. You know, I just want to thank you very much for providing that information, because as the, you know, the mayor, as well as all of us on council, get a lot of questions, and we're good stewards to try to convey the information on everything the sheriff is doing on a very proactive and positive manner, which is one of the reasons why I'm so appreciative that you provide all the statistics that you do, which I know it could not be done without volunteers, that you come to council. And I will tell you, Sheriff, Captain Deeds does something that nobody else does. He actually stays for the entire council meeting to sort of see what's going on, as opposed to giving a quick report and leaving. So he's very much involved in the community. And I want you to know that, because it makes such a difference to have that type of presence. And then he gets a better feeling for what we're dealing with. And the other information you supplied was very helpful too. So thank you very much.
All right.
All right, we have a question from the chat panel for Captain Deeds. Does the Crescenta Valley Sheriff Station have a program to etch catalytic converters?
We do not have one currently, but it's something that I will be looking into. I know that one other station within our patrol division was doing it. So yeah, we are going to look into that, and we will be putting it out to the community shortly.
All right, our next question. Are videos from Ring cameras submitted to you proving to be of any significant value to the Sheriff's Department?
I can say from my perspective, they're very valuable, and they've been evidence on various crimes, and I'm pretty sure that's true also of La Crescenta in Crescenta Valley.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We monitor the Ring apps. We're part of a community group of with the Ring program, and yes, they have been very instrumental in helping solve crime.
All right, our next question. Is there any intention to address cyclists ignoring the laws of the road on the Angeles Crest? For example, running stop signs, cutting off traffic, and not riding on the shoulder.
We're enforcing all the crimes on Angeles Crest involving also involving bicycles, not just vehicles, but bicycles as well.
All right. Next question. The California Constitution guarantees certain rights for victims and directs the district attorney to protect and enforce those rights and to perform specific acts in the criminal justice process as part of those rights, specifically in Marcy's law. Since DA Gascon is violating the Constitution, will law enforcement chiefs in the county approach the Cal AG or U.S. Attorney for civil rights violations by the DA?
What we have done is, pursuant to Marcy's law, we're actually now picking up the slack and we're representing victims of crime in these parole hearings when the DA refuses to do so. But we can only cover the cases that we investigate, which is roughly a third of the workload of the DA's office. The other third is LAPD, and the last third is all the other police departments. Roughly, that is how it comes out in terms of crimes prosecuted by the DA's office. That is a concern that is being addressed, and but that's about as far as I can take it.
All right, that looks like all the questions that we have. I know we covered a lot of different topics. We can hold for maybe another minute if there's any other questions.
Any hand raisers?
As of right now, no, sir.
But Terry wants to talk.
Well, we were talking earlier, Sheriff, about the effect that COVID had on the operations of the Sheriff's Department. And I found it very interesting. I was wondering if you could share a little bit of that with the other people on the call this afternoon.
Yeah, we had a total of 2,920 employees that were confirmed positive. We have currently 804 in quarantine, but we had the number as high as 2,100 at one point. And that was really difficult for the department to field our workforce. And which is a 24/7 operation. Obviously, patrol and custody is 24/7, keeping everybody up and running. And that was not easy. And we also, one thing that helped us is that we identified 25 employees that were considered high risk because of pre-existing conditions. And we had them telecommute from home and stay at home. And that kind of helped lessen their exposure. And I think that kept our mortality rate down. Unfortunately, we did lose 12 employees to COVID. There was 5 sworn and 7 professional staff. In fact, about 2 weeks ago, I attended 4 funerals, I believe, in the span of 1 week. And it was a bad stretch of time for us. And so my heart, thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who's been impacted by COVID, both within the department, within the community. I know it's been hard. Just about everyone has lost either a loved one or they know someone who has passed away. We lost a close associate of ours here at this very building at the Hall of Justice who passed away from COVID. That was Loretta Murrieta from our Sheriff's Information Bureau. And doesn't get any easier. We just had a recently retired employee commit suicide just 2 days ago. So there's always tragedy after tragedy, but we got to keep doing our job, and hopefully we look out for each other. We have employee support services that provides a lot of help in that regard as well. And let me see here. And during the whole process, especially when it was really raging, the coronavirus, we had people that got quarantined more than once because their exposure was so high. I mean, we're forcing them to go into an area that could be COVID positive to do their job because, a 911 call originated from there. There's a victim down, for example, or in the jails. We had inmates COVID-19 positive. We had entire modules with people that were being treated for COVID, and deputies had to go in there fully suited up to provide care for the inmate population as well. So definitely put us in harm's way, but fortunately we were able to handle it and keep the ball rolling at all times. And so that's kind of what the impact has been for the department.
All right, sir. We do have one hand raised. Donna, Ms. Libra, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. All right, you're good to go.
Okay. I'm Donna Lieber with the Crescenta Valley Town Council, and I just want to thank Captain Deeds for keeping our town safe and for doing such a wonderful, fantastic job in La Crescenta. We really are glad that he is our captain.
Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your support.
Okay, I think that covers it. All right. Let's,
Yes, sir.
yeah, if I could get any of the city council before we go to the mayor that wish to make a closing remark.
Sheriff Illinois, but I just want to say thank you to you and the entire team. Captain Deeds, Chief Jacob, even Melissa, for putting this on, being such a great partner to our community, protecting not just our businesses, but our residents. Really appreciate everything that you're doing today and beyond.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to echo Keith's remarks. And Melissa, I've got one for you. Try supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
You got it.
Anyway, thank you so much. I think that our sheriff's department does a wonderful job here for our community. I've been working out of home since the COVID thing, and my office is on the second story and faces the street, and frequently see patrols through the streets in our town. And frequently they wave. So we have, not only are they protecting our town, but they're part of our community, and can't thank you enough. And thank you for this afternoon. It was very valuable.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll just, this is John Curtis, and I'll just re-stress my appreciation like I did before. And I'm actually very impressed on how prepared the Sheriff's Department frankly is, and obviously your knowledge of everything going on. So that's pretty impressive. And I do believe that hopefully in our next newsletter that we send out to the entire community is, I think we do it 4 times a year. And I think this will be an article that we will highlight, because I think there's some really good facts that have come out of this, as well as just, you're the first sheriff that, at least to my knowledge, since I've been on council, et cetera, that has really reached out the way you have. This is not the first time. This is the second time you've done it, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate that.
Well, on behalf of the city, do want to echo what the other council members had voiced. Very appreciative for the efforts that you and of course our station, but very appreciative for this opportunity to spend some time with the community and give them the opportunity to ask some questions and get some feedback. So I think that that's a really great part of how you as a department, you as the sheriff are interacting with your communities. And I think that it's a big step forward. And it is, as John said, and John and I have been around on the council for a while, is that it's definitely a change from behaviors in the past. So that's been a real positive. So thank you. And again, appreciate your efforts. And yeah, we all like Captain Deeds. He's such a good guy. So
I think we'll put a post-it on his eval.
Yeah, he's getting a good bump up today, so he's probably pretty happy about that. So
Yes, sir.
Anyway, but thanks again.
You got it. Can we, Keith, did I get you?
Yes, thank you again for everything. So
You got it. All right. And,
I'm still trying to think
city
of something to
manager.
stop Melissa, by the way, and I can't. So
Oh, I know. It's a tough one. Trust me. We've been trying, but I think Terry finally got her. I saw her acknowledge defeat. So there's got to be a prize for that, Terry. City manager Mark Alexander, are you still here?
Yes, sir, yes, sir, Sheriff. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for participating. Appreciate that. And Captain Deeds.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you, Sheriff, for doing this. Again, it's much appreciated. I want to thank all our community leaders and our community members for participating in this forum. and being so supportive, especially during 2020, which was such a difficult year. The community support was just overwhelming. I look forward to doing this again next year, and hopefully we'll get past all this, the COVID and all the restrictions very soon, and we can start meeting in person. I really look forward to that. But I just want to thank everyone and wish you a great day for the rest of your day. So that's all I have, sir.
All right, Chief.
Thank you, Sheriff. I don't want to echo too much of what Captain Deed said, but I would like to thank the mayor and the city council and the members of the La Crescenta Town Council for being here, as well as all the citizens. Everybody's busy, but by coming out here and listening in today and asking questions, it really shows what a great community we have in the Crescenta Valley area. Every time I go up to the station, which is fairly often, whether Captain Deeds likes it or not, there's always cards of appreciation, posters that the kids make hanging around the station. And we know in that community that the community supports us. And we couldn't do what we do without the community. And these forums really show that. So thank you for everybody that's here. That's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you, Chief. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in, all of the residents that are served by the Crescenta Valley Station. I want to thank each and every one of you for your support, for tuning in, for all the hard questions. And there is no question that's too hard. We'll do our best to try to answer them. If we don't have an answer, we'll figure out what the answer is, and we'll get back to the individual. And folks representing all the communities that you serve, thank you. All our elected officials, the city manager, and all our personnel at Crescenta Valley Station, the captain. And apparently, Chief, you're going to have to upgrade Todd's eval somehow here.
We'll work on that. I'll get him out of the competent range. We'll get him up to very good. So.
No, he was there hovering between improvement needed and competent. This might just get him up to the next notch up. So that's always a good thing. But anyway, you guys have been wonderful. I appreciate this conversation, and definitely this is how we strengthen the working relationship, the bonds between law enforcement and the community at large. So everyone, please stay safe. Make sure you get your vaccination and continue wearing your mask until we get this thing behind us. So thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.